Hello and welcome to Kirkistown in Northern Ireland, where the Irish Formula V Championship is about to head out onto the circuit for the first of what is set to be a couple of cracking slipstreaming battles here today. Towards the front of the grid we've got Tim Murray. The times they were very close in qualifying yesterday, so we're anticipating lots of wheel-to-wheel action. Well, cars then lining up on the grid, and it is indeed going to be Tim Murray on pole position with Philip Sheen alongside. Rob Fleming and Jack Byrne share the second row for this first race, with Jordan Kelly and David O'Loughlin on the third. Jamie Farrell and Justin Gray are on row 4 together, while Sean McCalliam and Nick Mulhall round out the 10 starters for our first of 2 Formula V races. So, getting ready to go racing then for 15 minutes plus 1 lap here at the high-speed Kirkistown circuit. On board here with Jordan Kelly from 5th on the grid. He does not get a good start at all, and they all come pouring past him on the run to the first corner. Disastrous start then from one of our potential podium finishers, who's got a lot of work to do now to try and get back to the front. It is the pole sitter Murray, though, that leads them down towards Colonial for the first time, but Philip Sheen trying to have a go around the outside there. Don't think he was able to quite get through. These VW powered cars, but various different chassis of Formula V on show here. Lots of them running the Shane chassis, but there is a bit of variety out there. A couple of Lee Stones as well, and LOHs too, which you don't see all that many of, particularly racing over in mainland UK. So you'll see a bit of variety out there on the circuit. And this is only about half of the grid. The rest of the field, the more experienced drivers, will be out there in the A race a bit later on today. Back on board with our onboard driver, then down the back straight behind the pit lane, already starting to get back into the fray, and drivers chopping and changing left, right and centre. Number 40 there losing a place is the car of Sean McCalliam, who then comes diving back up the inside of everybody into the hairpin. Are we going to gain anything out of this? I think we will. We'll get past Nick Mulhall, hopefully, on the exit of the corner. The yellow machine is number 9. Now that is Robert Fleming. Robert Fleming started 3rd, so that yellow machine just there also had a bit of a disastrous start. The leaders, though, 3 of them absolutely together as they race into the first corner at Debtors Dip. Lots of close battling, though, throughout the field as they start to separate into their various groups, but with a couple of poor starts being made there by front runners. I think we're going to see a bit of a jumbled order here in the early stages. And some drivers, hopefully, able to come through from the back of the field, but overtaking is at a bit of a premium here at Kirkistown. You've got those long straights where you can use the slipstream to overtake, but it's reasonably easy to defend at the end of those straights, so overtaking is a challenge, but we've seen some great racing here over the years from the Formula Vs. Hopefully we're in for another couple of very entertaining slipstreaming battles today. It looks like we are, because the leaders are battling away. We're back with our onboard camera. We're going to try this move again now around the outside of Sean McCalliam. This time around I think we've had a better run onto the back straight, so through we go, and then immediately move over to the right hand side to defend into the hairpin. Onto the brakes, very bumpy braking zone there into that final corner. Back out along the pit straight, and the next target looks like it's the 73 of Justin Gray. Next of the yellow cars there to possibly start to slip back down the order again. Off the start-finish line they go, back with our leading 3, and a real jink to the left-hand side there for Philip Sheen as he tries to go around the outside of the race leader Tim Murray. Isn't able to do it though, but clearly had a better run out of Debtors Dip and just wasn't able to get fully alongside before they hit the brakes at Colonial. Then it's Jack Byrne in the green machine in 3rd. So that's your lead battle then. Murray from Sheen from Byrne, the top 3. As I said, Robert Fleming, the number 9 car, having dropped out of this battle in the early stages after a bit of a poor start, will be no doubt looking to try and regain that lost ground as the race goes on. Side by side for the race lead though. And Philip Sheen's had a good exit there from the John Crossley chicane. He's used the slipstream nicely. He has his nose in front, but is he going to be able to pull across and defend? The answer is no. They arrive at the hairpin absolutely together. And in fact, it might be Jack Byrne that benefits from this, because he gets the better exit out of the corner of the lot of them and pulls himself alongside. Down to the first corner they will go. Meanwhile, further back in the pack, things are equally as entertaining here as drivers try to negotiate the tricky midfield battles. So we've had the change for second then. Byrne now ahead of Sheen, who's on the grass going into Colonial, locks up and does a very good job of staying on the road. That could have been a disastrous moment there for Philip as he got to the top end of the circuit, but thankfully just about managed to save the car, but that could have been, it could have actually taken out Jack Byrne as well, because for a moment there he was completely out of control with 2 wheels on the dirt. The black stuff has more grip than the green, Philip, so he's not learned his lesson though. He's still pushing hard through the chicane, so important to get a good exit from the chicane, because that opens up the opportunity for overtaking down the back straight. Overtaking that we may be about to see exemplified here from our onboard view once again. Down the back straight towards the hairpin. And yet you can see that slipstream starting to take effect. The cars all bunched together, but then they all sort of arrive at the hairpin together. And that can sometimes lead to some interesting antics. Oh, and they both spun. So 2 cars spinning at the end of the lap, and one of them, unfortunately, is Robert Fleming there, the yellow car. The other one was our onboard camera, which was David O'Loughlin, the number 78. They've both gone around in sympathy with each other there, I think, at the end of the lap. So the overall leaders then turn their way through Colonial once again, but that was a unfortunate slip up there for 2 of our very quick drivers who looked as though they were going to be able to come up the order quite nicely. The second place battle though heads into the chicane, and still Jack Byrne in front of a ever sideways Philip Sheen, and ever more sideways Philip Sheen it seems. Every time we see him he's kicking the tail of that car out at some ridiculous angles. I'm not convinced it's the quickest way through the corners, and now that is an issue, quite clearly, for the number 23 car, is it? So that is a car pulling into the pit lane. That's Owen Kelly. And Owen Kelly appears then to be out of the race. Now, has he left any fluid down on the road, I wonder, at the hairpin? It's going to be interesting to see. Possibly he's been dropping that for a while, because we saw that little slip up for Fleming and O'Loughlin at the hairpin a lap ago. Doesn't seem to be any issues with slippery surfaces anywhere else. I think that the rest of the track is pretty clear. Leaders then heading through Colonial and then Fishman's again. Brilliant defensive drive so far, this from Tim Murray out in front, but Jack Byrne is looking lively here. He's on his toes, trying to find a way past. He's already moved into second place now. He wants to try and get the lead away, and again a wide run there from Philip Sheen coming out of the chicane. It's important to get a good exit there, but if you push too hard, you hurt your exit speed. He's had a good run this time, though. Goes up the inside of Jack Byrne for second place into the hairpin. And I think that should be pretty much a done deal. Very, very late on the brakes is Philip Sheen, though. But he gets the car stopped just about, slides his way through, and is into second place again. Now, slippery surface flag is out at the hairpin. That's interesting. So there is a concern there amongst the marshals at the hairpin that the oil may well have spread across the track, and that might be, it might not be on the racing line, but if it's on the circuit at any point, then the hairpin is probably the worst part of the circuit for it to be at, because that's the biggest braking point from the high speed run down the back straight. Midfield battles then carving their way through into the first corner again, and guess what, they're nearly side by side at least. This is very much the pattern in Formula V racing. Lots of close slipstreaming battles and attempting to move the inside. Oh, there's contact once, twice, 3 times. They're both off the road. That was the number 40 car of Sean McCallion trying to make a move. Number 57, Nick Mulhall, is the man that he tangles with, and McCallion may be out of the race, I fear. Thankfully, Mulhall has been able to rejoin, but McCallion may not be quite so lucky. That car sustained quite a bit of front end damage. Certainly the wing has come off, but I wonder whether or not he's got some suspension damage as well. Dramas then at Colonial. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Jack Byrne has dropped away from the leading 2, and as they race their way across the start-finish line, it is very, very close indeed. Philip Sheen about to make his move, I think, up the inside here, possibly of race-long leader Tim Murray. Tim Murray, remember, was quicker in qualifying. Sheen looks to have extra speed through the high-speed corners, but he just hasn't yet been able to make the move stick. Again, he's on the outside line into Colonial, and this is a difficult part of the circuit to run side-by-side through. So he ducks back in line again. He will hopefully have a better and safer option to make the overtake in the future, and that maybe in the near future, because he definitely looks a bit quicker here than Tim Murray. Down to the chicane again. This is where we've seen that white machine being flung over the curbs. Let's see how it's much tinier this time, and that will no doubt benefit his speed down the back straight. So this is his chance then. Looks to the outside. He really wants the inside line, but there's no way that Tim... There is the limping car of Sean McCallion coming into the pit lane for retirement, as we suspected, with that front end damage. What's going on with the race leaders then? They'll be with us shortly. Here they are, still the 37 car in front, but he spins! Oh no! Tim Murray goes around from the race lead, and that we have to assume was as a result of this slippery surface at the hairpin. and he nearly loses it again in his eagerness to get going again. Tim Murray loses the race lead, and Philip Sheen is now handed a very comfortable advantage. Jack Byrne has moved through into second place, and Tim Murray down to third. He will be kicking himself for that, but if there is oil down at the hairpin, it was an understandable mistake to make, and I think there must be oil down at the hairpin because we've got another car locking up and going straight on. That's David O'Loughlin for the second time getting it wrong at the hairpin. But I do think that slippery surface is what's causing these problems. And what a shame for our race-long race leader, who hadn't put a foot wrong yet, really, Tim Murray. It's also robbed us of a bit of a battle at the front of the field. Thankfully, there are plenty of other battles going on. This is number 9 of Robert Fleming, who was defending for number 73, Justin Gray. But Justin Gray spins at Cologne. There's a yellow flag out here. I don't think that was because of any oil, though. And David O'Loughlin, determined not to tangle with the rejoining car of Justin Gray, gets completely airborne over the curb in avoiding him. So it's been a bruising encounter, this, for a few drivers, and it's not over yet. We're only just into the second half of the race, so it looks as though this oil is there to stay down at the hairpin. Other parts of the circuit are catching drivers out as well, with or without oil, so this is turning into a bit of a topsy-turvy race now, but it is Philip Sheen that leads the way. Jack Byrne second and Tim Murray in third. There goes Robert Fleming, safely negotiating the hairpin this time. And oh no, well, sometimes it just isn't your day, and for David O'Loughlin, he'll be wondering why he got out of bed this morning. That's the third time he's been off at the hairpin now, and that time a lazy half spin, but that fluid is just catching him out. But he's not the only one that's getting caught out, but he is the one that's getting caught out the most frequently, so whichever line he tries does not seem to be yielding much grip. Jamie Farrell there, the blue number 16 car, comes through as he tries to pursue Robert Fleming, who started third, has obviously fallen down the order from that point, but he's now started to pick up places as others are falling by the wayside and having their own moments. So he's got a chance of getting a top 5 here, but he's in a pretty lonely bit of racetrack at the moment. He's got Fleming a few car lengths behind him, but not really putting him under any pressure right now, and nobody in front. So for now, Fleming having a fairly quiet race. Down to the hairpin again. Race leaders, or the second and third place cars, I should say, come through. That was Jack Byrne and Tim Murray. Jordan Kelly's running well in the number 99 car as well. He's in fourth place at the moment. But Tim Murray then starting to reel in Jack Byrne again here. So Murray seems to have good pace here. It looked as though when he was leading the race, he was struggling to keep Sheen and Byrne behind him. But until he made the mistake, that's exactly what he was doing. It's often the case, though, that because of the effect of the slipstream in these cars, sometimes when you're out in front, you can look a bit vulnerable. You look like you're going a bit slower than the cars around you, but it's just because they've got the slipstream, which, of course, now Tim Murray enjoys, because he's had a really good exit from the chicane, and instantly has caught the back of Jack Byrne's car. He pulls to the outside line, and in the end, he's only about halfway down the straight when he makes the move stick. So Jack Byrne then is demoted back down to third position. Tim Murray back into second now. Can he do anything about the race leader, though? That's a bit doubtful. Oh, actually, he runs wide, and Jack Byrne gets him back again, or does he? They're side by side off the hairpin. Murray had better momentum there from the outside line, so it does hang on, but that was a bit of a mistake there for Tim Murray. Again, possibly getting caught out by that slippery surface, and David O'Loughlin, I don't think he's got fed up of spinning and called it a day. I think that there may be some damage or an issue with the car, and David O'Loughlin is now out of the race. He becomes our third retirement, after Sean Callion and Owen Kelly have pulled off the side of the road as well. Justin Gray rejoined from his spin at Colonial Corner that we saw David O'Loughlin taking some interesting avoiding action for. There's where O'Loughlin's pulled off. So O'Loughlin gets out of the car, and his race unfortunately is done, and he switches off our onboard camera. That was very nice of him. So David O'Loughlin saving the batteries there, and he is out of the race unfortunately, but at least he'll be able to watch from the sidelines now as the race enters its final stages. Here goes Tim Murray then back into second place, and into third now Jordan Kelly, because Jack Byrne has dropped behind. Now, I thought I caught a glimpse a couple of corners ago of Jack Byrne going a bit slowly. I think that car's got a problem. He set the fastest lap back on lap 3, a 1 minute 7.885, but since then no one has been able to get anywhere near that pace because of this oil that's been down. So but he had pace, he had good speed early on in the race, but Jack Byrne now fading slightly with another potential mechanical gremlin creeping in. Meanwhile, the number 16 car, JB Farrell, locks up into the right-hander at Colonial, and I think that's the recovering Nick Mulhall behind him. So it looks as though Nick might be able to get back ahead of him. Nick, one of several drivers to have been involved in incidents. Of course, he was accosted by Sean McCallion a few laps earlier at the part of the circuit at which they've just driven through. He's now caught JB Farrell, and will be looking to try and make a move down the back straight if he can. Onto the final lap, though, goes our race leader, Philip Sheen, and because of the issues that Tim Murray and Jack Byrne have had behind him, he's now got more than a 10-second cushion. Still pushing hard though, look, as he rounds Colonial. But half a lap to go now before he takes the checkered flag in our first Formula V race of the day. As I said, we'll have some of the more experienced and some of the quicker drivers out in race number 2. And they will be in close competition, I'm sure, given how close the qualifying times were, where just thousandths of a second separated the quickest drivers, 18 thousandths in particular between Dan Polly and Anthony Cross, so they'll share the front row for that race a bit later on. But this time around it is the turn of Philip Sheen, it would appear, to step onto the top step of the podium, because for the final time he comes through the hairpin, avoids the slippery surface, sees the checkered flag, and he will take the victory then in race number 1 for the Irish Formula Vs. He goes across the line and wins our first race by a very, very handy margin indeed. Tim Murray will come home in second place, but by the flag over 11 seconds back, with Jordan Kelly third. Jack Byrne was fourth and Robert Fleming fifth, then Jamie Farrell, who managed to fend off Nick Mulhall for the last couple of laps. Justin Gray is in 8th position and will be the last of the finishers. Well, Philip, well done. Great victory in our first Formula V race of the weekend. There's no such thing as an easy V race, but with the slippery surface and the close racing at the front, that was particularly entertaining. Yeah, it was very. I was racing with Jack Byrne and Tim Murray there a good way through, but then Tim got caught out in the oil. I think Jack is a bit down on power, but yeah, the oil kept it lively the whole time. It's all about keeping momentum up in these cars as well, isn't it? They're not the most powerful, but this is a very, very high-speed circuit. Yeah, that's exactly. Through the chicane, onto the long back straight, and out the last corner too. It's all about the drive out really, and the toes too. Well, exactly, and important to try and pull away and break that toe. Yeah, that's it exactly. Once you break that, if you can keep it up, you don't get caught out in the oil, you can kind of try to stay ahead. A great race victory for you then. The car clearly working well this weekend? Yeah, I just got new heads in it there last week, so get a bit more power out of it. And, yeah, new tyres too, so yeah, it's really good stuff. Well done. Thanks very much. Thank you. Tim, well done. Second place in the first race. Race that I probably guess didn't really go fully to plan, did it? No, I led at the start, and the boys were putting me under pressure, but I didn't mind that. That was okay. I knew how to defend, and then I just got caught out in the oil, and that was kind of end of race sort of thing. I should have been third. Unfortunately, somebody had a problem. They got by me on the oil and got him back for second, but the leader was well up the road. He, in fairness, he drove well and managed the oil problem. We all had to manage it, and he managed it best, so that's his fair play to him. He got the win. It's a tricky enough circuit at the best of times, like low when it's a bit slippery. Yeah, there was that oil was even offline. It wasn't. You had to cross it at some stage into the hairpin. That was the worst part of it. So, but same for everyone. So you can't complain. Oh, great job. Well done on second place. Thank you very much. Jordan, third place. Great race. Difficult race. Very difficult. Well, there was a heap at the start it was grand, but whenever about halfway through there was oil everywhere. I was about sideways more times than I was straight, I'd say, but it was an interesting one, all right. But missed my start too, so it was kind of fell back a few places, but got them back quick enough, but fell back from the leader, so I just lost out in that chance, but that's the way it goes, I assume. You say you're sideways most of the time. These are cars that really you need to try and keep nice and planted, aren't they? You have to be very smooth with them, like, because if you don't, you're losing time everywhere, like. But that's kind of the way it goes, like. Nice podium this weekend then. How's your season been going so far? It's going all right. I've missed a good few races, so it's kind of you're not really on the championship and for the race, but it's all right yet. So getting good results, so it's getting there. Just need to tune the car on a bit, and that's the way it goes. Oh, good stuff, well done. On to the next one.
Aye, hopefully we can get a better finish.
Well done, cheers.
Right, thanks.
Thanks.